I'm Yvonne Acheson, and I started painting about, I guess, 10 years ago now. My husband, Lauren, gave me paints for Christmas. I didn't know that I could paint, but I thought it would be a fun thing to try. And I just loved it. I fell in love with it. I remember the first night after Christmas that I got out that canvas and painted. It was supposed to be Jordan River. I have that painting now. I gave it to my parents, but I got it back. And it's funny, I thought it was so great. I thought, wow. Now I look at it and I go, that is so horrible. But it was fun. And I gradually, I was a piano teacher at the time, and my piano students started buying the art that I put up on the walls, which is really exciting to me. And my husband, I remember one day, went on a surf trip down to Tofino, and a friend of his asked if he could buy my painting of a surfer girl. She was surfing. And I did. It was $250 I sold it for. And I was so excited. I thought, man, I could, I have to teach a lot of piano students to make that. And no, but I did love piano teaching. Then we heard about the Parksville Street Market at the time. It was called the Craig Street Market. That was Tuesday nights, and that's right down the street from where we live. So we signed up for that just out of curiosity to see what would happen. I remember I had just little prints, and I went to Coombs and got these little Coombs frames, and it was a little nerve-wracking at first, because you wonder, are people gonna laugh at my art? Are they gonna like it or hate it? And we sold, I think, several $100s that first day, I think. And my husband was all excited. He said, Yvonne, all we have to do is show it. And so we kept doing that market. And then there's a Qualcomm Farmers Market, which is our main market now. We do it year round. So appreciative that there's a market that is year round. So even in January, the crowds are very small, but we can sell art, or even just develop relationships with the vendors and people in the community. Something every time, something comes of it every Saturday, even if it's I remember a $25 day where it was just my friends that bought my art cards, I think, because they felt bad for me. January in Qualicum in the snow, it gets very quiet. But it's year round. And then in the summertime, it's by far it's a big part of our living, is the farmers markets. We also did the Thursday market down in Sydney for quite some time. I've just found it's a bit of a drive, 2 hours, and it's a night market. So I would get back at 1 o'clock in the morning. And sometimes when I was driving back, I remember I felt like I was going to fall asleep on the highway. I had to pull over at the airport, and I slept. I didn't make it home until later or earlier in the morning. So yeah, I guess that's another thing about markets. So I have a few meaningful paintings to me. The first one that always comes to mind is my anchor painting. It's called Anchor. It is a painting of my sailboat when I was a little girl. And we did a trip to Princess Louisa Inlet, which one day I will paint. But in this one, I just have the sailboat, and there's an anchor that is down in amidst the kelp, seaweed. There's a couple seals underwater playing. It's called Anchor for a couple reasons. First of all, when we were on our way to Princess Louisa Inlet, we were going to moor the night at Smuggler Cove. And I still remember my dad throwing the anchor out, and as he threw the anchor out, the rope went right through his hand and into the ocean. So there went the anchor, and we were needing to stay there for the night and needed the anchor. So we could barely see the bottom of the ocean where we were. And my dad and mom went out in the dinghy and searched for well over a half an hour. And I was in the sailboat with my brother and Doberman and cat, praying. So I was praying, and I felt strongly that I was going to find that anchor if I went out in that dinghy. And so when my parents came back in, I kind of felt stupid asking, but I was like, Mom and Dad, can I go out and look? Like, I'd been praying, and it was like I was led right there. It was, I think I rode right out there. I still remember seeing it. It was way down. The tide had even been coming up, and so it was even further than when my parents were. And it was, I yelled to my dad, "It's here!" And it took him a couple dives to get down to the anchor, but it was found. And it was a moment of just faith as a child that has affected me, obviously, till now. I still hold fast to that faith, like that anchor. So that's the other meaning of it, is just, when you're in storms, a lot of my paintings, even if they're not to do with water, it's when you're in the storm, you can hold fast to God. He's there. He's there for me through difficult times and good times. So that is a very meaningful painting, anchor. And then ones like this where I have children, I have a lot of ones with children, either looking up at a tree in wonder at creation, or there's another one of a little girl wandering. I mean, we all wander and kind of, not all who wander are lost is my favorite quote from J.R. Tolkien. So I like just to show hope. There will be there's one of a little girl, it's called Light Along the Way. This little girl looking out over the horizon, really it's towards over her life, the hills, the mountains, the valleys that represent, of course, the difficult times, and the hills are like the fun times, and that's it. That's my meaning. I'm really emotional as an artist. Nature's a big part of my inspiration, obviously. I heard recently we live in one of the most beautiful places of the world. I don't know who did the study. They actually said Vancouver Island is the #1 place to live in the world. I agree. Being out in creation is incredible. You can get away from all the anxiety of the world, and just at our door, you're suddenly, you can be in an old growth forest. You can be surfing or swimming in the ocean, and it's very therapeutic. As a child, just camping, being out I'm so grateful to my parents for taking us on camping trips. Sometimes even when I wasn't really wanting to be honest, I do remember that. But they gave me a love for being out in nature, canoe trips and sailing, and I remember jumping off our sailboat in the middle of the ocean. You couldn't see anything, no land around, and there's so much out there to explore. Hence, I have lots of paintings and a huge list of places I want to paint. Yeah. It's funny, you never know what you're going to be doing in a few years down the road. When I was young, I was actually a waitress for quite some time. I still remember at a Mandarin Chinese food restaurant for about a year. And then ABC restaurant. I was a total klutz, and I remember having this fear of breaking dishes. And the more I was worried about breaking dishes, the more it happened. I remember spilling water on one of my customers by accident. Anyways, at one point I was actually fired from waitressing. And but maybe, I think when God closes one door, he opens another. And I continued to teach piano. That I felt gifted at. Any other jobs? I actually, when I met my husband, I was at a stationery store, which I worked at for about a year, along with teaching piano. He would come in, he was a fashion designer, and he would come in for his, I think it was receipt books or something. And and we ended up dating. And anyways, we got married in 2000, 23 years ago. He's amazing. He's a good man. Passion for the future. Because I love brightening up a space, I would love, if money was not an issue, if I had unlimited funding, I would probably get into doing more murals. I've done some murals at like one at Springwood Elementary, just a volunteer mural. When you walk in the front door, there's bright sunshine and the West Coast sort of art in vibrant colors. I love that because it just, people smile. It's so nice when you see people smile, and you can tell that they really appreciate the artwork. So murals, I'd love to do outdoor murals though. I wish I could do murals on random buildings in Parksville. They desperately need it. I just don't know how to go about asking. I don't know the whole business part of it. I really am just an artist, and grateful my husband can figure that sort of stuff out. I love teaching children. I've done a few little volunteer classes at the elementary schools, and children just love art. And it's great. You barely have to put a stroke onto the canvas and they're like, wow, how'd you do that? And it's great. And then you can teach them. I just have to be careful in the classes that I don't try and fix every single canvas. So that the moons are, who cares if their moon or their sun is not perfectly round? But so maybe I would do a little bit of teaching. There's so much I'd love to do. I think we'll probably stay on the island. And maybe one day, it would be lovely to get a home on the ocean. So I have a view not of Bolinas High School. It's convenient right now though, because Jonah goes to Bolinas High School. So he just walks out the back door into the hallway. Just want to brighten the world in some way with my little gift. So if I could say something to anyone who's watching this, it would be, you know, if you have a passion, if you have a gift that you've been given that you love to do, don't be afraid to dive into it with all of your heart. It's what you're meant to do. And even if there's that fear, which there always is, just do it anyways. So if you're a painter, or if you're into knitting, or whatever you're doing, I mean, if you're really into science, or then follow it. And there's always obstacles, but you can get through them. And yeah, I would say just don't be afraid. Do it, because it's what you're created to do, to share your passions. And